Welcome to another episode of Printervention. Today we are bringing you a remote version of Printervention with our account representative in California by the name of Mr. Dana Nordman. Thanks for joining me. That's the first part. If you could, maybe you could highlight a customer of yours, where they're located and what industry they're in, for starters, and then we can dig in a little bit into what they're doing.
So I do have a good client of ours in, let's say, the Northern California area near Oakdale, and they service the egg industry where we have 10 CIJ print positions installed.
Okay.
And very simple application from the standpoint of what we're printing, but very complex in how we adapt to aging OEM equipment and how we communicate with the printers.
Okay, so I guess for starters, how did you meet these guys? How did you come across this customer?
Through my relationships with our egg industry distribution channel.
Okay.
Able to put together a distributor agreement with this group that brings us access directly into the egg industry via their access point, which is the Cartons.
Okay.
And they had already had a previous relationship in the marking and coding realm prior to us with a different type of technology. And we're already kind of in, let's say, a search mode for a vendor solution. We opened negotiations with them, talking about the various breadth of product that we could offer and how we go about our business methodology. They were very intrigued with it.
Right.
That's what got us started on that path and brought us into this particular vertical or market segment, and has been a very good, growing and blossoming relationship at this point.
Good deal. So, okay, so good. So you mentioned the egg industry. Maybe you could expand a little bit about exactly what they're printing on and what their print needs are. Are they? I think I know the answer to this, but they're not printing directly on eggs, are they?
No, this particular group is not, although that is a subset. So yes, to talk about it briefly, there are three basic types of cartons that we're printing on. The most prevalent now is the clear PET that you typically see at your grocery stores and Sam's Club, Costco's.
Right.
And the market continues to push in that direction, but there still is a big demand for what people call pulp or paper cartons, the typical ones you've seen that are also very common and old school in the industry.
Right.
The very old school version, which is being phased out, is that polystyrene version that we might remember as young kids.
Yeah.
That's a very fading technology for what they need. But in any case, those are the three main types. We're printing a combination of descriptor as well as best by dating, typically a shift and or date stamp, followed by, in some cases, what they call some of them might call it a henhouse ID or a barn ID. It's basically, or a flock ID is also another common designation for it, but it allows you to trace the eggs back to a particular henhouse.
That totally makes sense. Yep.
Excellent. So with today's regulations, it's becoming more and more prevalent because ultimately, I think if the industry has its way, they might try to get it to the point of tracing it all the way back to the bird, although that will remain to be seen at this point.
Interesting. Yes, I could see someone wanting that. Okay, so let's see. All right, so that covers what we're printing on specifically. We're using our DuraCode CIJ. Maybe talk a little bit about the intricacy of the network and what was needed for that and what we supplied.
Sure. I'll touch on two parts with it because it's a two-part solution for that. Networking was one big challenge. The first big challenge is that you're dealing with equipment that doesn't move the egg cartons at smooth, steady speeds. Cartons shuttle at varying lengths and speeds. for what they call the egg drop process, where, as you can imagine, if you have 3 or 2 lane types of cartons, they have to shuffle through and drop particular lines at a time.
Yep.
That was very challenging because it has a very short distance of travel with a very high ramp up, ramp down speed. So almost high speed encoders fail to be able to pick it up.
Wow.
So finding appropriate locations for encoding to be able to get proper signals and develop your timing, especially on aging equipment where slippage occurs, and even though you're no longer getting an encoder pulse, shuttling of the carton is still moving, which provides a different problem, because if the encoder is not turning, the printer's thinking that I don't need to print.
Right.
So a lot of challenges that are unique with every piece of equipment that go into that. That was a very fun yet intricate part of the solution. The networking solution was quite interesting as well, though, because we really had to start from scratch and develop a customized platform for the client needs, because in this particular vertical or segment, no one's really put that effort or energy into place outside of the big OEM grader or cracking equipment that you might hear about in the market, basically the large equipment that the OEMs and the end users are buying.
Okay. Interesting.
So what we needed to be able to do was to be able to batch or group printer segments together from a remote PC source, and be able to update variable pieces of data on the fly, be it the best by dating, or in the case of this particular client, being able to change the flock ID and push that data downstream to the coders was very important to them because of their space limitations.
Okay.
I mean that there was really no space in between the lanes, nor was there any space on the front end or the back end of the equipment to put a printer. So these had to be mounted upwards of 10 feet up in the air, which provides big OSHA issues for clients, or excuse me, the end clients, who have to go up and climb up onto the equipment just to go change a machine. And when you have to do that 10 times across your lines, and you're doing them probably 15 times a day, there's a big issue with potential health hazards.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I think I've seen that photo. I may clip that in here to show what that looks like. It's a very,
it'd be a perfect one to show.
Yeah. And everything is currently installed. Is that correct?
Everything is currently installed. We do have 2 more application positions that we are quoting. They will be for our new bent umbilical system that we're coming out with.
Right.
And that just allows them even more flexibility, because you have very tight lines with printer heads facing in opposite directions.
Yep.
And when the compact nature of where you're mounting these print heads comes into play, the more space you can offer, the better. So this is something they're very interested in wanting to upgrade to. And
so, without putting words in your mouth, I would imagine they're a little delighted with us kind of working on these solutions with them, because I'm guessing that the aged OEM printers they had, or whatever company that was, probably wasn't doing that type of legwork for them. That's a guess. You can tell me otherwise.
You're correct. While they did put a workable solution in, it evolved into obsolescence fairly quickly, and we're not interested in keeping that product line going, which was one of the key issues that the distributor had, giving them heartburn about, after getting all of these positions installed, no longer being able to support them. So they were very happy to make a good quality upgrade into CIJ.
That's awesome. Good deal. Well, that's great. I don't think I have any other specific questions, unless you have something else to add about the application or the environment specifically.
Yeah, as you can imagine, the environment, you're dealing with eggs, and you're definitely going to break quite a few eggs to make omelets at that facility. So you're constantly dealing with making sure that doesn't get in and or around the print head portion or the sensor portion. But it is a very fun industry to be involved in. They're very happy with the print solutions, and are in fact looking to buy more new OEM equipment later this year.
Good deal. That's awesome. Well, Dana, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I know it's been tough finding the time, but I appreciate it, and hopefully we can do more of this in the future.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.